So Manchester United will be looking to further their charge for a top four finish when they lock horns with the relegation threatened Aston Villa at Villa Park on Thursday. So it's an away game. Villa, meanwhile, are 1 point adrift of safety before Watford take on Norwich City on Tuesday evening. And Dean Smith's men are still searching for their first win since January. However, Smith's men held out for 71 minutes, that's impressive, against the Reds before the quality of Jurgen Klopp's men ultimately shone through with the second half goals from Sadio Mane and Curtis Jones, condemning Villa to yet another defeat in their battle to avoid the draw. While Villa can certainly take the positives from the game at Anfield, the overall outlook is bleak. Smith's side are now winless in the last 10 in all competitions, and so Villa's in last 10 competitions they're winless and have not yet triumphed in the Premier League since their 2-1 victory over Watford 3 weeks into the new year. Villa have no doubt been handed one of the most taxing fixture lists since the restart, having faced European chasing sides Sheffield United, Chelsea, Wolves, and Liverpool since the top flight was allowed to resume. And the relegation candidates still have to face, so in the future they have to face Everton and Arsenal after their showdown with United. 5 of Villa's 7 league wins this season have come on familiar territory, so that's about 78% if I'm not wrong. So 5 of 8 have come on familiar territory, and there should be an extra motivation for Jack Grealish. Of course, he's been linked with Manchester United to perform among persistent speculation linking the Villa captain with the move to Old Trafford. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's men stretched their unbeaten run across all competitions. They are now they have not lost in 16 games. With a victory over Cherries, they defeated Bournemouth 5-2, and United will now endeavour to win their 4th league game in a row when they travel to West Midlands. So they won 3-0. So the form is 3-0, 3-0 and 5-2, which is pretty impressive. As things stand, the Red Devils currently lie 5th on 55 points. They are left 55, 2 adrift of 4th place Chelsea, who take on Crystal Palace on Tuesday, and the United faithful will certainly be rooting for Palace. Fingers crossed, right? To take at least a point of the Blues in the London derby. So it's a derby with it's a derby for Chelsea against Crystal Palace. Victory for United at Villa Park on Thursday will stretch their unbeaten run on the road to 11 games in all competitions, and the Red Devils have only shipped 4 goals away from home in that time. So yeah, 2 being in the Bournemouth game. Actually, that was a home game, so it cannot be counted. So yeah, only 4 goals away from home in that time. However, Villa managed to salvage a draw in the reverse fixture as the sides played out a 2-2 draw at Old Trafford back in December. Aston Villa Premier League form. So this is interesting. It is LDLDLL, which is loss, draw, loss, draw, loss, loss. So in the last 3 games, they're coming off of last 2 games they've lost, and the game before that they drew it. Whereas Manchester United's Premier League form is draw, win, win, win. Of course, the last 3 games have been 3-0, 3-0 and 5-2. Last one against Bournemouth. So, Manchester United, that was the Premier League form. Manchester United form in all competitions is win, draw, win, draw, win, win. Villa will continue to make do without long-term absentees Wesley and Tom Heaton, and Mark Target is also unavailable, but the defender could be back in time for the weekend meeting with Palace. So not this one. So Villa have another game against. We'll have another game on the weekend, and he could be back for the game with Palace. Grealish and Tyrone Mings both suffered injury scares last time out, but the pair should make the starting lineup for this one. And Smith may opt against making any changes at all to the side that gave Liverpool a good run for the money. So that's a tough to Liverpool and then Manchester United. Of course, Liverpool have won the league and with many points. They won the league back in way long back. But yeah, that's a two tough fixtures to have, Liverpool and Manchester United. That would mean another start for veteran goalkeeper Pepe Reina, who was given a run out against his former club at the weekend, although Angels is a doubt with an Achilles issue. Born Angels is a doubt with the Achilles issue. Having had a few days off to recover from their thrashing of Bournemouth, United are expected to announce an unchanged lineup once again. Victor Lindelof was forced off at half-time at the weekend following a back complaint. Although the defender injury is not thought to be serious and he should continue to partner Harry Maguire at centre-back. Alex Tuanzebe and Phil Jones may not feature again before the end of the current campaign, but it is difficult to see any member of this United side dropping out given their current form. Aston Villa possible starting lineup. This is according to sources, a credible source. So the Aston Villa possible starting line is Reina as the keeper, Konsa, House, Mings, Taylor, El Ghazi, Lewis, McGinn, Trezeguet, Grealish, of course, and then Davis. I just read a stat somewhere that Grealish is obviously the main person, and he has some 500 more touches than any other player on the Villa team. Don't quote me on that, but there is some statistic. Moreover, I think the overall picture is that most of the things that Villa do goes through Grealish. And the Manchester United possible starting lineup, according to credible figures, is De Gea, obviously, Van Bissaka, Maguire and Lindelof as a central pairing, Shaw as left back, and this makes me smile, but yeah, Pogba, Matic, and of course Bruno Fernandes, with Pogba and Matic up front, and Pogba and Fernandes up front, and Matic as a holding midfielder. And the top three, Fernandes, Rashford and Martial, which have scored more goals than the Liverpool top three. I guess Martial has 20 goals in a season, Rashford has 20 goals in a season, Greenwood I think is 15 goals. Yeah, so that is more than the Liverpool top three. The Sweden international, so Victor Lindelof picked up a back complaint during the first half, with Eric Bailly replacing him. Eric Bailly, of course, gave the handball which led to the penalty. That, I'm not sure about the penalty. I don't know. I mean, you cannot, once it was given, it was difficult for VAR to refute it or cancel it. And also, I thought Eric Bailly should never have touched that ball in the first place. I mean, there was no one behind him. He was at the edge of the box. He should have let it go for a corner. Of course, in hindsight, everyone's more smarter, but why try to control a ball using even your shoulder when there's nothing behind? I mean, the worst case would be a corner. If a goal comes from a corner, that's it. That's luck. But then why give up? Why even give the referee a chance to give a penalty against you? And a lot has been said about Eric Bailly and his transfer, but yeah. So Alex Tuanzebe is set to miss the rest of the season through injury. Phil Jones remains out with an issue of his. Phil Jones always has an issue of his own. But yeah, that's a different podcast or video altogether. So if you're in UK, how do you follow it? It's live on Sky Sports Premier League with crowd noise and Sky Sports main event with kickoff from 2:30 p.m. Kickoff at 3 p.m. and crowd noise from 2:30 p.m. And they also have live vlogs. So according to Sky Bet, one of the person associated with Sky Bet is 2-2. I have a few Opta stats to throw at you, so these just take it with a pinch of salt. But yeah, you know what they say about statistics, right? Statistics are like bikinis. They reveal many things, but they hide the most important thing. But yeah, anyway, Aston Villa have won just one of the last 42 Premier League meetings with Manchester United. They have just won one of the last 42, which is very big. They've drawn 11 and lost 30. which is not a good record, with that victory coming at Old Trafford in December 2009 when Sir Alex was at the helm. Yeah, Sir Alex. Manchester United are unbeaten in the last 20 Premier League away games against Aston Villa. They won 13 and drawn 7. Since 1-3 loss on the opening day of the 95-96 season. It's the longest unbeaten away run one team has had against another in top flight history. So according to statistics, this should be a good chance. Aston Villa have picked up just 2 points in the last 9 Premier League matches. So they've drawn 2 and lost 7, finding the net just 5 times in that run. So scoring 5 in the last 9, drawing 2 and losing 7. Those are some tough odds. Manchester United having the longest unbeaten away run one team can have against Villa versus Villa on a bit of a bad run. So Manchester United are looking to become the first team in Premier League history to win 4 consecutive matches by a margin of 3+ goals. Can it happen? Can it really happen? Manchester United looking to become the first team, let me read that again, in the Premier League history to win 4 consecutive matches by a margin of 3+ goals. I'm hoping for it. Looking at the current form, I am, like many others, quite impressed by Mason Greenwood. But you never know, right? Manchester United unbeaten 9 Premier League games, winning 6 and drawing 3. The longest current run in the competition. Indeed, only Liverpool and Wolves have had longer unbeaten runs this term. Aston Villa has won just one of the last 27 Premier League matches against sides starting the day in the top half of the league. Oh, so they don't do good against the top sides. Aston Villa have just won one against the last one from the 27. The 2-0 win over Everton in August 2019. So let's move on to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and what he has to say, or he doesn't have to say. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, as usual, was back in front of the media on Wednesday, one day before the game, for a press conference to preview United's game against Villa. He spoke, of course, through video link because of the COVID issue. The manager began by answering questions on David De Gea's recent performance and an injury that Lindelof sustained last time out. As ever, opposition players were a topic of conversation as the boss responded the queries about Aston Villa talisman Jack Grealish and Bournemouth centre-back Nathan Ake. There was also a word about Scott McTominay, learning from informed Nemanja Matic. Nemanja Matic, of course, signed a long-term contract with United in the recent past, and the Reds fight for a top 4 finish following Leicester City's draw against Arsenal on Tuesday night. So yeah, Arsenal did a favour. Arsenal have been doing a couple of favours for us. They beat Wolves, I guess, so that was a good one, and they drew against Leicester City. So Leicester City, we'll have a look at the Premier League table later, but yeah. So one of the reporters asked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer what he thinks are the big threats from this Villa side, and Ole replied, they've shown since the lockdown that they can hold their own. They have been in tight games. The games they've had, you can see that they clearly worked on their shape, and their counter attacks are one of the most powerful ones in the league. I guess Aston Villa is very strong with set plays, corners, free kicks, penalties. So Eric Bailly, please, we don't need any heroics this time, please. They spring quickly, so you've got to be ready for that, and set plays, good deliveries, and first contact players. And of course, there are some individual players there. And he's talking about Jack Grealish. David De Gea is about to take over. Yeah, this is an important one. David De Gea is about to overtake Peter Schmeichel in terms of his appearances for Manchester United. Having watched him from far and now obviously working with him, firstly, do you think, one of the reporters asked him, do you think the loyalty, David De Gea has been there since 9 years at United. There have been many links. Of course, there was the famous incident where the fax machine broke down, and that's why his transfer to Real Madrid didn't go through. whatever you make of that, I don't know. I think he's been a great servant for the club. 9 years is a big deal, and that's what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was asked. That is the loyalty becoming more and more rare with him being here. To which Ole Gunnar Solskjaer replied, "Yeah, David, as you know, as you say, he's had some fantastic seasons here, and next year is his 10th. Whether he stays, maybe Ole is confident that he's gonna stay for next year. I'm sure there's no news right now, but he's proven Eric Steele right that we believed in him. He had a bit of a tough ride early on with the physicality of. I remember when David De Gea came to Britain, he was like a skinny dude and someone you could bully. Not me per se, but of course someone that top strikers could bully around. He had problem controlling the penalty area and bossing the penalty area. But of course, he's one of the best, if not the best. I'm not sure if he's the best right now, but he's definitely up there. And just to work with him closely and see he's still keen to learn. That's a great thing. He's still working hard. Richard coming in with Craig as the coaches, I think they've reignited a little bit of spark in David, and he's working really hard in training. So that's a good sign. Jack Grealish was a standout player when you guys played at Old Trafford. Another reporter asked him, is he going to be the main threat again? And just how impressed have you been by him? Because he seems to have really kicked on since his last spell in the Premier League. Well, I think in the last game, obviously, Ole replies that they've caused us some problems with Grealish off the left and El Ghazi of the right. Grealish has caused us problems. He scored a fantastic goal, which is available on YouTube. You can check it out. Grealish goal against United. So there's been a lot said and talked about him, and we need to be aware of him. Obviously, whoever is close to him, if he's off the left or if he's in the middle or the right, what he does is attract players to him, which is a good sign. Which is with Bruno Fernandes, and we'll come to Bruno Fernandes and Pogba in the equation later. What he does to attract players to him and create spaces for others. There's not just one player in the Villa team, there are many players. And of course we mentioned this, but another reporter asked him, you gave Nemanja Matic a new contract this week. Scott McTominay was a standout player before the lockdown, pre-COVID 2019 break. So he can learn from Matic. Not sure what the question is there. So he can learn from Matic. Yeah, obviously he's a young player. He has to learn from Matic. I think Scott obviously is still a young boy. Yeah, that's what Ole replied. 7 or 8 years younger than Nemanja, and Nemanja has been on record saying that he sees himself in Scott. So the two can bounce off each other. It's never easy. He's told Nemanja before that Scott is going to play. Because now you don't have... I remember the times when he used to play Scott McTominay and Fred. I'm not sure if he made Scott, Fred and Nemanja Matic playing. But that used to be when Pogba was injured. But now we have Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba, so they occupy two spots in the midfield, and which gives only one position for a central defensive midfielder, which is Nemanja Matic at this time. I saw, if you remember the goal against Bournemouth, where Nemanja Matic gave the left-footed pass to Mason Greenwood, which again then passed to Bruno Fernandes, who tucked in the volley. That was an amazing goal. Even the Mason Greenwood's first goal, when Nemanja Matic gives it to Bruno Fernandes on the right this time, and Bruno Fernandes runs down the right and then passes on to Bruno Fernandes, to Mason Greenwood, who then kicks it with the left. That was amazing. In terms of where you are in the league, with Leicester drawing last night, another reporter, now if you win all the remaining games, you will get into the top 4. So top 4 is in the hands of United. Do you think you will need to win all your games? To which Oli replies, yeah, he thinks so. You never know what is going to happen, but he thinks that the teams around us are playing well. Obviously Chelsea is there. We just focus on this one, the next one. If we win every single one of them, of course we have Leicester City as the last game, which may be significant in the top 4 race. It's got to grow as a team, and to know that going into next season we can put a different challenge to other teams in front of us. So that's the thing, right? Going into next season, this season we have FA Cup and Europa League. Yeah, So I read a statistic that since Alex Ferguson, you're not finished in the top four and won a trophy in the same season, which was amazing for me. But yeah, there was an awful lot made of your remarks to Nathan Ake after the game on Saturday. Do you really mean you wanted left-footed centre back? That's what you seem to say. I've got 7 centre backs, so I don't know where that came from. He has 7 centre backs. I guess he's right. Harry Maguire, who's the captain, Victor Lindelof, Eric Bailly, Phil Jones, Chris Smalling, of course, is out on loan. Van Bissaka, I'm not sure whether you qualify him as a centre back, but yeah. Do you think Bruno Fernandes is making his teammates better players? If not, has he given them more confidence, especially when they've got the ball? I think it's going to go both ways. I think Bruno has come into the club and seen how many good players there are at Man United. We have helped him show his attributes as well. I think it's just been a good little relationship blossoming that he can also feel that we are going to help him improve. Definitely Bruno has come in and lifted everyone else as well, and it's been a very good start so far. Fingers crossed. Bruno Fernandes, big fan, big fan. And for the effect he's had on Paul Pogba, since he's come, Paul Pogba was not felt like, oh, he has to take the burden of Manchester United and take them to places, and he has to be the star, and he has to do all the fancy stuff, and he frees up Paul Pogba for a possible number 10 sort of a role. But anyway, it's a big fan. I the most impressive thing about Bruno Fernandes is his attitude, and that's attitude is something that is temperament for sure. It's really amazing what he's done. Another reporter asked, given how well the forwards are doing and the minutes that they are receiving, do you feel vindicated in the changes you made last summer? Of course, the side note was United was in talks with Bruno Fernandes to sign him in the summer. Part of me thinks that if he had come in the summer, I don't know what would have happened, but I guess that's how things work, right? So there was some criticism that there was no more established number 9, for example. Your old manager wasn't afraid of making unpopular decisions. Of course, this is to which Oli replies, this is not a popularity contest, that's for sure. I have to make decisions that I bring and are for the benefit of the club. The decisions that were made last summer and in January, bringing players and allowing players to move on, I think in my mind they're always for the good of the club and the team, both in terms of giving youngsters a chance, but also in terms of giving trust to one another. While also accepted, some players have been great servants to the club. So for me, I would still make the decision if I go back 12 or 6 months. The last question was unbeaten in 16 games now. How does that affect the group's whole mentality? And there are 2 ways. You should not become complacent. I think it's easier said than done, but yeah. To which Oli replies, as a footballer, you can't just pick up your confidence from the fridge. You have to get it from what you do every day in training, but the results that matter. The last 16 unbeaten games gives us more confidence, but 16 games is nowhere near where a Manchester United team should strive towards, that's for sure. We can still go many games unbeaten if we concentrate on the right things, if we focus on the next one, and then suddenly you're there. You stood there with 16. Hopefully that can continue. Some other news, Tyrone Mings and Jack Grealish are both fit. Mings took a knock to his calf in Sunday's defeat at Liverpool, while Grealish was struggling with tight calves, primarily caused by tight strapping, with the pair will be involved on Thursday. United's attack has been impressive of late for sure, but a free scoring front line deflected from Bournemouth is not good, right? It's probably more of a 5-2 scoreline was more a reflection of how bad Bournemouth was as opposed to, United are good, of course, but Bournemouth are not really that something that a team should aspire to, at least the Premier League side. If Villa have taken the game to United, they could expose those flaws again, but they will leave themselves open to counter-attacks. Expect Villa to sit deep at first, but United should collect 3 points. Head to head, we have some betting odds, and of course my team prediction, to which you can comment your team if you have any changes. but I think the site picks itself out. The betting odds are Villa to win are between 9 to 1 and 10 to 1. Those are some good odds. If you're a Villa fan and if you have some money, you should, if you believe that they will, of course. United to win are 4 to 11. Draw, the odds are pretty good, 5 to 1. Mason Greenwood to score, that's something interesting, 11 to 8, and over 3.5 goals is 15 by 8. So here's my team. Of course, David DK on the in the between the sticks, with Van Bissaka on the right, Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw on the left, Pogba, um, Bruno Fernandes, and Matic in the middle, and then the front three would be, of course, Rashford, Martial, and Mason Greenwood. I'm really sad. I think I saw some news that Mata might be leaving. Mata has been a great servant to United and Chelsea, of course. And Daniel James has fallen down the pecking order. Scott McTominay has fallen down. Fred has fallen down. Some people were suggesting Romero can be given a chance, maybe in FA Cup. But this would be my starting 11. Van Bissaka, Harry Maguire, you can have Victor Lindelof if he's available, or Eric Bailly. They seem to be the top two choices. Then Luke Shaw on the left, Paul Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, Matic, Martial, Rashford, and Mason Greenwood, and David De Gea in the goal. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a win. I'm gonna go for 4-1 and to United to create the history of the first Premier League team to win by 3 or more goals in 4 consecutive games. What do you think? Comment, like, share. Thank you.